Well, greetings fellow humans, and welcome. Today I'm going through even more vintage patterns. A wonderful friend of mine, the very lovely gothy arty Octavian, and his mum had a collection of patterns they thought would interest me, and the last time he was in the States, his mum gifted these patterns to him to pass on to me. They previously belonged to a person called Joyce Grayson. Now, Joyce Grayson was a principal dancer in the Folies Bergère in Las Vegas in the late 60s and the 70s, and after she moved away from being a showgirl, she was in the costuming department. But these patterns that I will be going through today are her personal pattern collection. I had a very brief rifle through them just to get a general impression of what they are, and they seem to mostly be late 60s, early 70s. But it's super exciting to have these, and I am incredibly grateful that Octavian and his mum were willing to part with them and thought of me to pass them on to. So, let's go. Please excuse the bright orange Sainsbury's bag. It was the safest way to get them back from Octavian's house on a very rainy day. We have this amazing number. It says on the back that it is, what? Mrs. Dress in 2 lengths. Most of these are too small for me in terms of the measurements that they state, but that's fine. If I need to, I can grade the pattern up. But depending on how much ease they've put into these, I might not need to grade them up at all. Very cool starting point. The instructions for a butterick pattern. Do we have its pieces? Are you its pieces? No, this is a snood. A si bon snood. How intriguing. This seems like it would genuinely be quite useful for when I want to wet set my hair. Because, like, I have various scarves and things that I use to cover my hair while it's drying in a pin curl set, but this just seems like a far more effective way of existing, to be honest. So we have our si bon snood. We don't seem to have the butterick pattern guide. What's this? Oh my goodness! Oh, that's so useful! There's a list of the patterns that are in here. Very exciting. Okay. You're a different pattern. This is a Spades Designer pattern by Capucci. And apparently, patterns are not returnable for exchange. Not that there's any chance of that happening at this point in time. Okay, so this is a very cool, like, almost halter neck style 60s dress, which I'm very into. I don't tend to wear a lot of halter neck shaped garments just because, let's be honest, as a larger chested person, if I was going to wear something like that, I would need appropriate undergarments so as to not, like, ruin the shape with my bra straps. And that is not an easy thing to find, at least if you want it to do the job that it's meant to. Not at any kind of reasonable price, anyway. Genuinely, in my 30 years on this planet, I've yet to find a strapless bra that actually works for me. Do they work for anyone else, or is that like a myth? Is that just... Anyway, we're talking about patterns, not strapless bras. Let's get back to it. Very jazzy. Definitely into it. What are you? Ooh, you're more than one thing. Mail order. We love a good mail order. What are you? Ooh, Emilio Pucci. Designer pattern, non-returnable. It looks like it might be the shirt and the trousers. Is it? Or is it just the trousers? It might... looks like it's just the trousers. Might just be the trousers. I'll need to go through that in more detail down the line. I mean, it says pants pattern on the envelope, so there you go. What are you? What are you? Again, mail order designer patterns. Doesn't seem to have been used by the look of it. Really stunning shift dress. I'm into it. I'm into it. Size 8. Depending on how they do their sizing, this is absolutely not something that will fit me. If it's like a US 8, there's hope. If it's like a UK 8, then there is none. What are you for? Interesting notes about something to do with sleeves by the look of it. Knitting. Definitely knitting. We have a knit to purl to note here, so I shall put this to the side because I don't know what it belongs to or what it's about. What are you? An Yves Saint Laurent Vogue Paris original pattern. Those are stunning trousers. I'm very into that. And this is exciting. The fact that this has a bow-fronted blouse, I am super excited about because I really like that style and there's something about it that very much evokes like the 1940s. This looks like it's an 80s does 40s pattern. Do you say? When you were copywritten? Do you say you're copywrit? Writing? Rotting? Rooting? Where are you? Oh, something is strictly forbidden. This pattern is for the exclusive use of private customers. Any copying of this design for resale of the garment in any form, with or without the name of the couturier, is strictly forbidden. That's what's strictly forbidden, apparently. When were you created? It looks like an 80s does 40s to me. Let's just leave it at that for now. As I was saying, bow-fronted blouses like these are very much a 40s vibe, and I have yet to acquire a pattern for this type of blouse, so that's very exciting. Is this a multi-size or a single size? It is a single size. Okay, we'll have to check the sizes later, won't we? Oh, wow. Simplicity Jiffy dresses, 2 main pattern pieces each. That is a very straightforward way of doing things, and that is some serious caftanage. 65 cents. In Canada, 75 cents. How about that? Views 4, 5, and 6 made from purchased towels. So the thing I find funny about this, when I was a kid, me and my cousins had these big robe things made of purchased towels that my mum made for us to basically be able to change our clothes or change out of clothes and into swimming costumes and vice versa without having to go to a changing room. We just called them towely things. I think my cousin Hannah and her sect of the family called them mapeses. For some bizarre reason, we just called them towely things. But basically, this is the exact thing that I had. Except ours had hoods, and were far larger on us because we were children. But like, I'd be down for having a towely thing as a grown-up. That seems handy. What are you? Ooh! Ooh! Okay, I like this as a concept. However, this kind of frilly nonsense is not really my jam. The kind of extended Peter Pan collar of this, though, that is my jam, and I'm intrigued. Okay, so there are basically a few tops. There's a basic bodice with 3 different collars and 2 different sleeve shapes. Cuff shapes, really. And then there's like a floor-length pinafore dress. What else? Cowl-collared blouse, blouse with pointed collar and ribbon trim. I do like me some ribbon trim. A size 14 and a bust 34. Well, that will not fit, but that's fine. We can grade it up. Ooh! Ooh! Yas. Yas. Not in like, yas queen. Not that way. The yas of like the memeified cat that does it. That's the kind of yas I mean, to be very clear. View A suitable for 5'8" to 5'10", not me. View B suitable for 5'6" to 5'7". That is a tiny margin. Why would you write it that way? Like, there is a single inch margin that is appropriate for... That also completely ignores that people have their height in different parts of... Like, you can be 5'6" and have short legs, or a long, and... Wait, anyway, that's not the point. The point is, it's a pencil skirt. Copyright 1959. 1950s pencil skirt? Heck yeah! I mean, it might be just 1950s, but it's still 1950s. I'm taking that. What are you? The postmark on it is the 21st of December, 1965. This envelope is not that much younger than my mum. Fascinating. Let's have a look. What are you? Oh! Oh, you're one of these! Okay, if you watch my last vintage pattern unboxing, where I bought like a job lot of patterns off of eBay, this imagery with like the colour block rectangle and even the font was one that I found really difficult to place, and it wasn't until I started chatting to people in a vintage pattern appreciation group that I made on social media that I found out what it was and where it was from and when it was from. So it's quite cool to have another example from the same pattern company. A Mrs. Butterfly robe, one size, 8 to 18, made from 4 towels or 35-inch wide terry fabric, 4 yards. There you go. If I want a butterfly robe, what does that mean? Oh, I see. It's the shape of the pieces. That's what makes it a butterfly robe. Family Weekly. Into you. Ah, again, a vintage swimming costume pattern. Okay, this is kind of cool because in my fabric stash, I have a bunch of bright pink and like chartreuse green thick lycra fabric that would be perfect for making a swimming costume or bikini or something along those lines. But I would obviously love, if I was going to make myself a swimming costume of any kind, to make a vintage one. So this is very exciting indeed. Ooh, how fascinating. Pattern part identification guide, and it consists of 1 part. Bathing suit. That's all it says. That's wild. Children's sizes and Mrs. sizes, small, medium and large. Requirements for fabric without nap. Who would make a swimming costume with nap? Please don't do it. Don't take this as a challenge to make like a velvet bathing suit. No, don't do that to yourself or the world. Right, what are you? Vogue patterns. Oh, I have a kind of 80s new romantic slouchy deal. Give me your information. I would like to know when you came into existence, please. Come on, give me your secrets. Give me your secrets. This is not what I wanted. I'm intrigued by the gathered shoulders, that's for sure. Oh, those are some very dropped shoulders. I'm quite intrigued by this pattern. On first glance, I was a bit unimpressed, but actually, it's kind of jazzy. I like the top of the trousers she's wearing in this photo. I kind of wish that they included a pattern for those. To be fair, the trousers that are on, where is it? This 80s does 40s style pattern is probably almost the exact style of trousers that are in this photo, so I'm sure we'll manage. Oof. Look at that hair. A pretty basic shift dress, although this one has pockets, which I am pleased about. Does have pockets. See? Literally, see? It is piece C. Not suitable for diagonal fabrics. So this is from Advanced Pattern Company. There's a really interesting section of a book I read recently about advanced patterns and like the various contributions that they made to the American war effort in the Second World War. But it is also really interesting if you want to learn more about the various contributions, often overlooked, of queer women and women of global majority to home economics in the US. It was a really interesting book. I highly recommend checking it out. Speaking of which, I don't know if it's just this print, or if it's this hairstyle, or like the overall vibe of this, but there is definitely something about this that just screams cultural appropriation of Southeast Asian traditional dress to me. Very much has those vibes. Beach dress over blouse and pants. It's a shallow kameez. Anyway, moving on. We have a cute little top. One cute little top? Multiple cute little top? What do we have? We have 4 tops, 8 pattern pieces. Really? Yeah, version A, B, C, and D. I quite like this one. Scoop necks definitely are a thing that work for me. Oh, I need a buckle for this. I suppose that it has a little belt doodad, doesn't it? I wonder if it would be possible to roughly date patterns just from how much they say they cost. That would be fascinating. A Vogue pattern. Vogue Young Fashionables. Ah yes, the whole not quite nautical thing. That is a vibe. Large shaped collar and dicky with top stitching or deep V neckline worn over turtleneck dicky. Wonderful. Perfect. Exactly what I'm after. I apparently have some furniture pieces, which I didn't expect to be in with that lot. And it seems that despite having the pattern instructions, I don't have this pattern. I don't remember seeing any butterick patterns. Was that just my imagination? I don't think it was my imagination. I think that is actually the case. I guess there's always some mystery bits in with this stuff. So there you go. A chunk of patterns to add to my vintage pattern collection, which is growing significantly. For someone who didn't have any vintage patterns 6 months ago, the fact that I now have too many to store in the pattern storage I have available is impressive and concerning. There is a little part of me, maybe a not so little part of me, that does want to go on an internet adventure to try and find the pattern that these instructions correspond to. At least figure out what it's a pattern for. Maybe get it, just for funsies. I have really enjoyed going through these. My fingers are covered in decades-old dirt, and I am incredibly happy about it. I am very grateful that I have wonderful people in my life who indulge my fascination with vintage patterns in this kind of a way, who pass on things that they think I'd be excited about, and oh boy, were they correct. If you enjoyed this video and you want to give it a thumbs up or a like, that really helps me out and is hugely appreciated. If you want to keep hanging out, that would be super cool, but whether you decide to keep hanging out or not, I hope everything is okay in your world, and I will see you all next time. I exist, and I can speak. Well done me. This is very jazzy. Let's do this and record things as well, because I've got an overhead camera like a fancy bitch, right?